traditionally, when you come and see Mrs. Julie the first time, she shares with you the information that our school is unique. And the first uniqueness of our school that the kids don't have thick books. So they don't need to carry those thick books with them back and forth to school and home. That we are working using thin booklets. And we really, on purpose, gave you 3 weeks just to check and see what your child or children brings in their backpacks, what booklets, what do they have, what do they use, what do they write, and then only after you will be introduced by this booklet by your child, we decided to introduce it already officially from administrator's point, and just to explain you what that booklet means, what is that main tool. So that is why this session is called What is a PACE? Because the name of that booklet is a PACE. You can see that the students, they do have their own place in the learning center. And those individual places we call offices. So if you still didn't visit the learning centers, you can see on the picture, and then you will have an opportunity to go into the classes and see them in the picture. That is why the students who are studying at home, they also have their own office. We call that work PACE work because they're working in PACEs. What is a PACE? This is just the abbreviation of the packet of accelerated Christian education. Beside that, it has the meaning that it's a step. It's just one step. It means that we want the students learn by little steps. As you know, and as you noticed already, and I brought some samples, that our students, they study 5 main subjects from grade 1 until grade 8. And this is math, which is yellow, it is color-coded, English red, science blue, social studies green, and word building purple or pink to some people. So during all this period of time, they do study 5 subjects. And as of high school, they might have more, 6 or 7, and then those subjects like math, they'll be called algebra, geometry, trigonometry, so the names which you already still remember from your period of time of school, right? But though they study only 5, they do study the material of all the other areas. So if it is science, then definitely they will be studying biology, zoology, they will be autonomy in this period of time. Social studies, they'll be doing history, civics in this period of time. So they learn about country, people, math. So all those topics are in these 5 books. And as you see that the students, the booklets are very thin. And during one academic year or during one grade, they have to finish 12 booklets of each subject. It is one grade. Beside the main subject, we have some additional ones or some elective ones, which either we prescribe ourselves or we, you may request if you see that the child is moving faster or you would like the child to learn another subject. For your information that the students who are not doing 2 programs, who are not studying Russian government program, they have not 5 subjects, they have 6 subjects because they are doing literature and creative writing. Only if your child is on level according to the age. If your child is behind a bit, then there are only 5. If the child is on level, then you may see 6 paces in their bags. What is important? To demonstrate that your child is using all this period of time from grade 1 till grade 12 a pencil and eraser. That is why your kid's supposed to have good pencils and good erasers, because if they make mistakes, we do allow them to erase and write on top the correct answer. Because the system, and we believe that it's easier, that you can correct mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, and you can correct it. It's not a crime at all. So those mistakes are not, again, I repeat, it's not a crime, so that you can correct it. It's okay that you are making mistakes. Everybody is making mistakes. So, but they have to have it. And this is the rules of doing the pace. That only in this order, learning, reading, writing, not vice versa, not writing, reading, learning, but learning, reading, writing. So that is why when your child comes home with a school life book and you see that there is a homework, then you have to make sure that your child first learns, then reads, and then only writes. And if your kid would come to you and say, here's my pace, I did finish everything, and you have everything is written, and say, did you learn this one? Could you just prove that you've learned this one? If the child cannot prove, then the homework is not done. If they come with the checkups, we'll come to it a little bit later, because I would like you to see and study a little bit about the pace structure. There is a first page. There is a page with checkups, little tests. There is a page, the self-test, and only the child, if passes the self-test with 98%, then he is allowed to take the pace test. So if you see that there are many mistakes in checkups and self-test, don't write any messages to the teacher, my child should do the test. The child is not ready for the test. The first page, I will touch that area quickly, but just for your information, that on the first page, you can see the goals. This is the information, and for you also to understand what the kid should know by the end of the pace. They usually read, they usually discuss it with the teacher. There is a character trait, and they learn those character traits, and we insist that they do learn the character traits because this is an extra English word, noun or an adjective, and we do want them to gain those character traits to their character. So to become brave, to become kind, to become responsible, diligent, so on and so forth. There are 90 of them. There is a Bible verse which connected to that character trait. And if you need the translation, we can help you and give you the link where you can translate that Bible verse that the child would understand, because the curriculum is Bible-based. You have the transcription also on the first page, and the little comics which goes through the whole pace and which also describes the same character trait. So they are learning, and they're learning how to behave even at the time when they are studying. Just for you to know in the order which I described. And the first thing that you remember that they do, what is they doing first, dear parents? You have to remember, I have some prizes at the end. So learning, exactly, they are learning. So what they are learning first, they are learning vocabulary. They are learning vocabulary either by pictures if it's primary level, or by words, or they translate terms into their native language if needed. And they have to memorize the meaning of those words before they start reading the text, because the next one goes reading. Yes, so first they're doing learning. If it's an English pace, they're doing again learning, they're learning the rules. If it's a math pace, they're again doing learning, they may need to learn some math terms also. So that is why vocabulary is very important. If you want your kid to understand English and to be successful, they have to enlarge vocabulary. They have to learn the new words. They have to add those words into their active vocabulary. Not because they will answer it tomorrow to the teacher, but because they will start using it in their language. Just different pages from different paces. You might see it because these exercises, they're so good that our students doing the exercises without understanding and paying attention, they're getting ready to different tests. And then when they come to international tests or Russian state tests in English language, they pass it with a good result, believe me. Now we're coming to this next step, which was, remind me? Learning, then reading. And do you see that they have to read the text at least 3 times? And they have to read it at home at least 3 times. Why 3? Because the first time they're reading, trying to understand the general information. The second time they're reading already, learning, knowing the details. I mean, translating maybe some words in the text they found which are unknown. And then the third time they are really already getting full information. And what we're training our children to understand the material at this time when they are reading. So we are not making them to translate. We avoid them translate into their native language. And it is possible, again, only if they have enough vocabulary, right? Right. So at least 3 times. And again, this 3 times, it's usually at home to practice. So they don't have a lot of time at school to read it 3 times. But students from grade 1 till grade 3, they have to read the text out loud to the teacher. And that is why in some learning centers we have 3 teachers or even 4 teachers, because all the students of primary level, they're reading every text at school out loud. Because this is the way how we practice the pronunciation. This is the way how we practice the reading skills as the technical reading also. And this is also the time when we are checking their comprehension. So that is why it's our rule here at school. And I'm trying to ask for some help from your side. Scoring procedure. So raise your hand if you heard about scoring. So what is scoring? Raise your hand. What is scoring? Have you heard such a word at home? So I scored something, or I didn't score, or the teacher didn't score something, so you haven't heard. Scoring procedure, it means that we train our students to be responsible for their studies. It means that the work which they finished in the pace, they check by themselves. In each learning center, we have keys for the paces. So, and they just check if they finished and wrote everything correct. If there is a mistake, then they mark it as a mistake, and then they go back to the office and they correct those mistakes. That is why the child cannot come home, sit down, and write the whole pace in one evening. The child can do only the amount of work which is prescribed according to the goal card. They cannot skip checkups because they may move the mistakes from the first part of the pace into the second part and then into the third part. And then you remember that the score for the self-test will be lower than 98, and then the result of the pace will not be high. That is why everything is connected. There is the whole technology, the system. And when they are scoring, they are using red pen. So not the teachers are using red pen, the students are using red pen. But they cannot have red pen in their offices. It's a violation. That is why don't give them red pen. We do have enough at school. Give them just good pencil and good eraser. Checkups. So the answers to the checkups should be given orally. They have to learn the material. If they do all those steps before correct, that they learn the vocabulary, they read the text enough amount of times, they've learned the material from the text, then they can easily pass the checkup. There is no need to study it separate, because the checkup is just the short summary of the material which they studied before. So that is why it depends how good the child studied the material, then they will answer the checkup pretty quickly. And when they answer the checkup, then they can write it. That is why don't be surprised and don't be upset on the teachers if your kid will tell you, the teacher made me to erase the checkup because I did it at home. It was a violation. The child cannot do the checkup at home if there is a teacher's signature. So if the teacher allows to do it at home, then you will see on the top of the word checkup, there'll be a teacher's signature. Only in this case, the child can do the checkup at home in a written form. So that is why. And the checkups, what is also important, that they should not memorize the words which they have to put into the gaps, or they have to underline. They have to remember the whole sentence. That is why when the teacher quizzes the student, the teacher rewords these sentences. Because again, the kids, they may just see that they have to fill in just the words, and they memorize at home only the order of those words. So the teacher starts quizzing, and the child cannot answer because he remembers just the words according to the number. That's it. But he doesn't remember the information. He doesn't know the material. So that is why it doesn't work. When they come to the end of the pace, they will meet the self-test, which is kind of a checkup, but a little bit bigger, and it summarizes the material all over the pace. But the rules are the same. They cannot write by themselves at home, only if they have a signature, and they have to be ready to answer questions, not to fill in the gaps. Do you see those words which they have to fill? I will tell you the secret. You know why? The test doesn't match. And if they memorize these words which they have to fill in, and then the next day they will receive the test, the words will not match, and if they don't know the material, they will fail it. That is why we are learning. So that is why there is a rule: learning, reading, writing. Usually the PACE test, they're taking the next day after they finish the PACE, after this PACE is given to the teacher. So that is why, again, don't be surprised. The kids should not write the test on the same day when they finish the PACE, only the next day. When they are writing the PACE test, usually they sit at the special table, which is the testing table, and they are limited by the time. It's only 40 minutes, it's only one lesson. There is a result which is passing. You see that it's over 80, over 88, and over 94. So C, B, A, or A, B, C, you know these letters which are internationally used. For grades 1 to 4, the passing score is even higher, 88%. For students of grade 5 and 12, it's 80%. But as our school has the model status, And this model status allows our students to receive this diploma from our partner school from US. So one of the requirements of the model status that our students have the passing score 88 for the whole school. So we are making our students to study the material good enough that they could have this result 88. Some of the students are not able, and then we know those cases when the kids are not able, and then for those cases we have 80 passing score, which is okay, and usually we agree it with you. Failed test requires to repeat a pace. So if the child gets the result lower than 80%, then be ready that the kid will bring the same pace again. That is why it's important not to allow this happen. That is why it's important to have the result in the self-test high to be able to pass the pace test. This slide is just separate about English because we were talking about science, social studies, vocabulary, reading, but English doesn't have anything to read. This is grammar rules, and the rules they have to study also before they start doing exercises. And they have to read the instructions because, you see, the paces are very attractive. Paces are very attractive. At the beginning, they look very easy. Kids do enjoy to do paces. Yeah, you probably noticed that one, that they like to do paces. And they usually don't even read the instructions. They just look at the samples and start doing the same, which is wrong. They have to read the instruction because we train them to read instructions. Any other test they will be taking in their future life, the key to the good success, to the good result of any of the tests is just to read and understand the instruction. That is why we train them here, and you can help us from home and just ask those questions. We are not asking you to teach your students. That is why your students are in our school. We are asking for your help, for your support, just to ask some key questions at home which will help your child to be absolutely ready for the school and enjoy the school. Because I believe that the success of the child is number one if the kid comes to school loving the school. If the child enjoys coming to school, then you will have a successful result for your child. Many of the paces, they have also some fun facts. Also encourage them to do this. They can do it without any rules. But this is also exercises. Here they also training. And some facts, fun facts, they're very interesting. Read yourself. You may gain some interesting information yourself because this is just, you will see those fun facts in different type of paces. Biology you can meet in math, geography you can meet in word building, but just pay attention for it. If you see that the kid skipped it, just say, okay, do it. It's just fun. It's for fun. Some samples. And the character trait. Remember I mentioned the character trait? And I really like that picture because it shows how the kid gains the character traits and grows. Those cubes, you see, he's putting one on top another, adding an extra character trait to his character. Or changing maybe some of the character traits into better one. And the higher becomes the child, the growing, so he will have that tower higher, having those character traits adding. Words break no bones, but they do break hearts. These sayings are very good and they might change even somebody's life. So that is why these wisdom words and the words from the Bible, they are very important for the kid to read and for you to support. We do have the e-pace, and this is basically, we are doing in this platform, we are doing only tests in word building, and some of the online students, they are using this curriculum. It is available, but with some limitations. Available for the school. There is 2 weeks trial, but if you want for your kid just to have that an extra resource, you can just go pay, and then they can watch some videos which describes the material from the PACE. So, the PACE. Personal Accountability Character Enhancement Series, which is individualized approach, having individualized approach and self-instructed. It's mastery-based learning and goal-setting skills, biblically based material and spiritually emphasis, motivational encouragement and critical thinking skills we're adding during the PACES, and it's complete academic program from kindergarten through college levels. So I think you got an idea about that main tool, which we call a PACE. Do you have any questions about this particular important part of the school, without which our school will not exist? Do you understand why it's not the thick booklet but the thin book?